very good evening to everyone. Welcome to MOE's Facebook live chat, Journeying with Our Teens to Discover Themselves. I'm Geok Lian, Lead Education and Career Guidance Counsellor. I'm very glad that this evening I can have a chance to connect with you. As an ECG counsellor, I have the privilege to engage students in schools and also to guide them to discover themselves. It is a personal journey of knowing who they are, what they care about, what they want to do, and how they can continue to grow in this journey. While schools have put in place a curriculum to support our students, many times our students actually would prefer partnership with parents to make the difference. And that is why we believe in the value of having regular conversations with parents to deepen this partnership. This session is part of MOE's year-long engagement series, A World Beyond School, which aims to guide parents, teachers, and students to have greater insights into industry and competencies beyond schools. We hope that you will find this session useful and also have greater awareness of MOE's Character and Citizenship Education curriculum. And also, we're very excited. We have a special guest invited this evening to share with you various perspectives from their stories and also their personal experiences. And before we start the chat, we want to make sure that we observe a couple of chat rules. Firstly, let's stay on topic. We will take questions that are relevant to the discussion. And secondly, let's be respectful. Please ask and comment politely, keeping in mind others' perspectives and feelings. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our panel members. We have got Ms Yusnizan, Feng Jun, and Clié with us. Can I get you to introduce yourselves to our audience, please?
Hi, I'm Yusnizan, mother of two, 19 and 11. I'm a working mom, been in the logistics industry for about 26 years.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Feng Jun, currently a Year 3 Banking Finance student at Singapore Polytechnic. My journey is actually through A-levels and also coming to Poly after that. And in between, I also have done a few volunteering and also things that I've also contributed beyond school as well.
Hi, my name is Clié and I am a recent graduate from Ngee Ann Polytechnic. Before I entered Poly, I took my N-levels, my O-levels, and then applied through early admissions exercise to Ngee Ann Polytechnic. I studied early childhood development and education.
I would like to set the stage by sharing with us how the world has changed. As we look at the macro environment, and I think we all have been talking about it, the world has changed and people will be a lot more connected across the digital, the physical, and the production domains. But yet the world will also be a lot more fragmented on the geopolitical, trade, technological, and ideological fronts. New knowledge keeps emerging, and old knowledge is getting out of date much faster than we know. With the pace of digital innovations and also other disruptions, there would be unprecedented changes to jobs and livelihoods. So we need to rethink why we work, how we work, and what we want to do with our careers and our lives. Our society will become even more diverse in terms of values and aspirations. So against this backdrop, we need to really help our students to be able to thrive in such a complex and fast-changing world. And it will be important for them to be anchored with core values and competencies. And this can be developed through character and citizenship education, which is an integrated approach that includes national education and social-emotional learning. This will holistically develop our students to positive life outcomes. We also have education and career guidance that supports students to develop a sense of purpose in life. Having a sense of purpose is important to our students, knowing that they can contribute and make a difference to the lives of others will give them the motivation, the meaning, and the fulfillment in what they do. It will also help them get through challenging and difficult times, developing their perseverance and resilience. Since 2021, MOE has refreshed the CCE curriculum. Through the refreshed CCE 2021 curriculum, we aim to develop in our students, as you can see on the screen, good character, resilience and social-emotional well-being, active citizenship, and future readiness. ECG is part of the refreshed CCE 2021 curriculum. ECG helps students to develop a sense of purpose in life by getting our students to reflect on this very important question, who am I? ECG is also about exploration. Through the question, where do I want to go? We encourage our students to be self-directed, to be able to develop the confidence to explore different opportunities and pathways available. ECG is about staying relevant. As our students think about the question, how do I get there? They must realize that they need to take the necessary actions in order to reach their goals. So it is an ongoing journey of learning, growing, adapting, overcoming challenges throughout their lives in order to stay relevant in this fast-changing world. To meet the developmental needs of our students, the emphasis for primary school students will be on awareness. For secondary school students, it will be on exploration. And for upper secondary and post-secondary will be on planning. ECG is carried out in schools through lessons and student development experiences. Examples of student development experiences are CCA. We all are familiar with CCA, and we have VIA, Values in Actions. And on top of that, we also have career fairs, learning journeys, and other ECG programs. And this provides the authentic setting for our students to learn about the world of work and also to interact with industry professionals and to hear their inspiring stories. In secondary schools, junior colleges, and Millennium Institute, students also get to interact with ECG counsellors like myself. So we support the ECG needs of our students through individual or group ECG counselling sessions, workshops, talks, and other engagements. Complementing the lessons and student development experiences, our students also have access to this very important resource, which is My Skills Future Student Portal. Every student enrolled in MOE schools will have an account from Primary 5. On the screen, we are showing you the Secondary School Students Portal. The pre-login features allow students to access information on education pathways and the world of work. There's a lot of information there, you can check it out. And students can also make use of the profiling tools found in the post-login features to have greater awareness of their career interests, work values, skills, and learning styles. They can also set goals, plan actions, and build their portfolio, and also do personal reflection and journaling. So to sum up my sharing, parents, you play a key supportive role in your children's journey, and it means a lot to them, right? So do recognize that your children are still growing and their interests may change over time. So as they gain more experiences through the things that they do, they will have more self-awareness. So plan activities or allow them to participate in meaningful programs for them to discover themselves. Stay updated on the various education and career opportunities. Encourage your students to explore them. And you can visit My Skills Future Student Portal so that you'll be more confident to discuss your children's aspirations and plans. Encourage your children to set goals and to work towards them. Assure them that making mistakes and experiencing failures are opportunities for growth. Offer support so that they know that you are there for them. And nurture future-ready dispositions in your children. And these are lifelong learning, adaptability, and resilience. So with that, I hope it has given you a better awareness of CCE 2021 and ECG. And now, we would like to hear from the panel. Feng Jun, would you like to start first?
Okay. So, thinking about my future, I actually started just before poly. That was actually right after my A-levels and also my national service. I took on a gap year, going overseas for a service learning project. That was when I was able to engage with the community overseas, better understand what I have and don't have, and also appreciate all of those aspects. And from there, when I come to poly, I think those were the things that reminds me constantly about what I should do and not do, and basically take it as it goes, and whatever challenge it may come and that I face is something to embrace of, and also take it step by step. Yeah.
Right. So the gap year has done wonders for you to have so much awareness and clarity of yourself?
Yes, it does. I think it was a pretty good option now on hindsight. I think at the time, I was still hesitant because that wasn't me at the time. I was a bit of an introvert. But I think that exposure gave me the opportunity to learn from others. Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of interaction with others that gave you that discovery.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. How about you, Clié? When do you start thinking about your future?
Okay, so I think for me, I started thinking of my future seriously when I was during my O-levels. So right before the early admissions exercise was going to start, you know, I was going through all the courses and talking to my friends about what should I apply for, what should I do, what are my interests, what can I show that, you know, I am really interested in that the interviewers would want to allow me into their school. So I think through talking with my friends and getting my parents' point of view and everything, I think I managed to come to a conclusion and then applied for early childhood for my EAE admissions.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a long process for us as parents. We have many expectations. And I'm not a perfect parent. One of the turning points of supporting my daughter when in her whole journey is taking this big step of letting her take art as an O-level subject when she was in Sec 3. So background, me and my husband, he's engineering, I'm in IT. It is a road that we have never thought our children will go to, you know, in terms of the creative part of it. So just seeing her interests and letting her take on that as an O-level subject is already like, oh, you know, red flags already around. I mean, as far as a lot of parents would think that how to make money in art, you know, that is always the bread and butter question. But me and my husband, we have a very good partnership communication, and we thought that, yeah, you know, since it is something that she likes, her Sec 2 results for art has shown for itself that she has good grades for art, and that, you know, that she's willing to do it. So that was the first step to let her, you know, take art as an O-level. So for the purpose of the parents out there, art as an O-level subject, it is coursework. So coursework 60%, 40% on the final exam. So meaning throughout the 2 years, Sec 3, Sec 4, she has to spend a lot of time to get that 60%
on the coursework. Yes.
So you know, there's a lot of time management that we struggle with her and us. So it is not easy, but really on hindsight, that really propelled her to be where she is now. So right now she's in NAFA, Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts, taking diploma in digital illustration with animation. So I'm happy, she's self-directed, you know, doing what she wants to do. Yeah.
So besides allowing her, you know, to take art, which is a very, very different subject, you know, something that you're not familiar with, because you and your husband are more into math and science, right? So do you have a lot of conversation with your daughter to give you the assurance, you know, also?
Yeah, so what I was sharing just now, I don't have a lot of conversations because at that particular point in time, I'm like a tiger mom. Now, no. We talked about it just now. And because at that point in time when she was around 15 years old, as a working mom, we have a lot of hats to that we put on.
Right.
Of course, as a employee, as a wife, mother, it was challenging. And how do I put it? I do not have a lot of conversations, but what I have was a lot of trying to manage her in a manner that sometimes I think breaks a little bit in our relationship. So it's only a couple of years after that I managed to connect back with her, and then we revisit some of the things that I damaged lah. I mean, no parent want to damage in that sense their kids, but I have been on that path that I realized some things happen. I need to take stock and reflect. That I take ownership on some things that has happened, and yeah. So even though that our conversation was not a lot, later on I managed to make up for it.
Right.
But what is important is that at the end, when she get her O-level results, and again there were some challenges that we go through. Later we'll maybe talk about that in detail. My daughter can see that me and my husband supported her.
Right.
Despite whatever results she get, we are there for her to explore different options, to help her appeal at different institutions, and at the end, we choose something that we all are happy with.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Ms. Yusni. So you can see that parenting can be quite a long process. It took you years, and there's a lot of trial and error as well in the process, knowing how to connect with her. Yeah, and even for the youth, in terms of thinking for your future, there are different ways where you can start to think about your future. For you, it's a gap year, but not everybody needs to take a gap year. Yeah, and for you, it's talking to parents, friends, and that gave you more clarity, right, in your decision. Any one of you have experienced this before, not meeting the cutoff point? Okay, so Clié, maybe you can share your experience.
Okay, so because I transitioned from N levels to O levels, it's a very big jump.
Right.
You have to relearn how you answer a question, read a question and everything. So because I knew that the jump was going to be so big, and my results before that weren't amazing, so I definitely did my research and went and know that, okay, if I go and apply for early admissions exercise, okay, they will see my passion and then they'll see how interested I am, and then my results don't matter, right? So because for EAA, the cutoff will change to 26. So no matter what you get, as long as you pass and you meet the course requirements, where okay, maybe you can get D7 for maths,
So it's
like
the
that.
minimum entry requirements
Yeah, so
for
the
the
minimum
course.
entry requirements, and you can get 26. So I think that took a lot of pressure off myself when I was studying for my O-levels, that okay, if I don't get this score, if I don't get 12, if I don't get 9, it's not the end of the world, because I have a spot for me if I just do my best and meet that 26, right? So fortunately, I didn't get 26. I did well, but I think that was one thing that really helped ease my mind as a student studying for O-levels. Yeah.
So what you're saying is through the aptitude-based admission route, right? Okay. How about Ms. Yusni? You have some experience that you want to share with regard to not being able to meet the cutoff points?
Yeah, so I mean, just drawing back on my daughter's experience, and I have her permission to share her story. So what happens is she get good enough grades, but there's one particular subject she didn't do well in. And with that, it closed a lot of doors for a couple of courses. And we actually have to, so let me backtrack. So when we got the SMS, dramatic effect, right? The SMS, after we chosen the 12 choices, was you are not successful in the JAE exercise.
Right. Okay. So you're talking about the JAE for O-level students.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. when we got that message, that SMS, we were really all very down because actually my daughter tried EAE to go into Singapore Poly digital animation. She didn't get it. She got first interview, second interview, but it didn't pull through. So we have no choice but to just go with the rest of the crowd, you know. So again, when we get that SMS, we were very upset, depressed, and we allow ourselves to be sad for a couple of days. But after that, it's like we tell ourselves, let's pick up the pieces and do what we can. So we started to appeal at different polytechnics. And again, that route was also not successful. There was one particular appeal that we forget because we forget the deadline that it was 4:30 p.m. not 11 p.m. But anyway, so we take it in our stride. Like, yeah, maybe the universe is telling us something, you know, that we forget the timing because something good might come along the way. So it forces us to think of other alternatives. Because she has interest in digital animation, so LaSalle and NAFA were the choices that we have, thankfully in Singapore, right? And that's then we applied, and she was so happy. She actually got opportunity for both. You know, they both the two schools offered her this. So my advice to parents: we don't stop looking, you know, to look for different options for our kids. So yes, maybe they don't meet that particular cutoff point, but there will be, of course, other opportunities. There's of course the ITE route that they can pursue. For my daughter, the ITE route that she was offered, it was something to do with theatre. So she was not willing in that sense. So NAFA was the option that she's happy with.
So now she's with NAFA?
Yeah.
That's nice. Right. Okay. So maybe just for the benefit of parents who may not be aware, EAE Early Admissions Exercise is an exercise where students are able to apply beyond just their academic results, and the key criteria will be demonstration of aptitudes. So like in Clié's case, she actually went through that pathway. And for Ms. Yusniz's daughter, I think the key thing that we are hearing from her is really to keep an open mind, to consider alternative options that are available and that also would work out, you know, well for her in terms of her interests and her areas of strength. Maybe we can invite Feng Jun to share from a youth perspective.
Okay. The journey of exploration of the interests and strengths definitely will be everyday thing. Yeah. So I think strengths and interests. One thing is that if you are also willing to find out from your son or your daughter, your children, it's also good to have open communication between the parents and the child. For me, I think various resources that I sourced on my own would be also through the National Youth Council and also various other youth opportunities and resources made available through Poly. If it's in secondary, actually this morning, I was with the Astronauts Collective. So Astronauts Collective is actually a non-profit, and we actually outreach to secondary schools, and we have various programs for the youths to actually explore, tapping on the National Youth Council's resources. There's this website called On My Way, so that they can explore their industry, and from the industry they can actually see what are the various roles within the industry.
Right. So you're sharing the various opportunities that our parents can look to.
Yeah.
Right. How about for your own journey? Right. How did you actually find your own interests? Besides the gap year that you mentioned, were there any critical things that helped you or people that came along to point out to you your interests, your strengths?
Definitely. I think the value of various programs such as mentorship, also friends and families does support in that area as well. So I think mentorship allows me to understand from the perspective of the professional himself or herself. So in the role that I'm interested in, to really understand what is it like a day in a life, or what is it like in the things that he or she might face, and challenges and things that he or she feel passionate about. So I think those are the things that allows me to see that whether is this something that aligns with my strengths or even be it my interests. And I think various things out there, such as the profiling test, do support you in terms of understanding if you'd like to find out more about your strengths. And if it's interest, you can actually explore willingly. So it can be even by chance. So it need not be something that you force out of it. It could be something by chance where you just, possibly through a conversation with a friend or family, that you could potentially chance upon that.
Yes.
And you can build on that to find out more.
Thanks, Feng Jun, for that. May I just add, with regard to finding strengths and interests, basically it's very important for parents to let students try out different things. It's through all these activities that they discover themselves and gain better awareness. So in schools, as I mentioned earlier on, we have CCAs, we have BIAs, and we have a lot of other ECG-related programs like career fairs and learning journeys. And through all these experiences, students get to know what are the things that resonate with them, that they can connect with, that they care about. So through these experiences, it will be helpful. And Feng Jun also mentioned about profiling tools. If you recall, in my earlier sharing, I talked about My Skills Future Student Portal. So we have the career interests, we also have skills profiling tools. So check them out. Encourage your children to try out the profiling tools in My Skills Future Portal. For this question, I would like to ask Ms. Yusni to put on the hat of a logistics system professional, employer, rather than a parent. Okay, from your perspective, what is your take on taking gap year? If you have candidates who tell you that they have taken gap year.
Yeah, so in my organization, there are a lot of youngsters. They are either on internship or they just graduate. And some of them do take gap year. And what I see, when I interact with them, is that they come back happier, like sort out, their thought processes. They do what they want to do, because I think for a lot of them, they know that once they join the workforce, it's going to be a daily grind, and which is true. I mean, last time we do not have this luxury of taking a gap year, but I think our children now are more savvy. They are aware. They want to pace themselves out, in this working life, and taking a gap year will allow them to, I guess, have some unfulfilled desires that they cannot. So that's number one. I think it's good for their own mind, to explore and come back fresher and come back ready as a employee. And personally, I feel that now that I take this upon I wear the hat of a parent now. I think if I will allow my children to take a gap year if they work for it, So I guess because I think that there is a lot of benefits, because as I said, they need this time for themselves to continue to discover themselves.
So as an employer, you see that the benefit is really for them to take time off, to know more about themselves.
Right.
Yeah. So whether it's taking gap year or not, the idea is just taking time off to think about yourself at a deeper level. So for some people, it could be gap year, but for some other people, it may not be gap year, it could be something else, right? So different things work for different people, and importantly is taking time off to hear your inner voice, to really understand who you are and your authentic self, right? So that's what we are talking about. So maybe for this one, I will start off by sharing my views on this. I think in primary school is really, of course, important for our students to know themselves. So that's what we call the awareness stage, right? So awareness means they roughly know the strengths, the areas that they want to go into in terms of secondary school. And here we have a case where Pauline's daughter is keen on IB school, but she's concerned that she cannot excel. And how can she support her in this decision, right? Now, I would say that importantly, importantly, we will need her to have this conversation with her daughter to understand what is her motivation for wanting to do an IB course. IB has its own structure and own curriculum, and at the same time, for the daughter to keep an open mind to consider other options as well. So we have the mainstream secondary school, we also have IP program. So importantly, for the daughter to know her strengths, her learning style, and her motivation for wanting to do this course. And then from there, lined out the few possible options, and she may want to rank these options accordingly. So I'm not sure if you all have anything that you want to add.
So if I'm not wrong, the schools, so my SOTA parents can maybe help answer in the chat, that at Sec 4, if the student decide that they, for whatever reason, do not want to pursue the IB route, they can take O-levels and then join back poly. That is what I know for SOTA students who do not want to continue on the IB route. So, but this has to be validated, because I have a friend whose child is in SOTA, but eventually he goes to Polytechnic.
Yeah,
so
which means that they will leave the program.
They leave the program, correct.
Yeah. So of course there's this option for them to leave the program halfway. So it's really like I said, is to really understand her motivation and see whether there are any other options that can meet her requirements. Do you want, people to tell you what to do, or what do you want? Which would you think will work better?
Okay, so I guess for me, I have a lot of experience in this area.
What do you mean a lot of experiences?
Because for both my parents, right, they have a very different way of communicating and supporting myself and my two younger sisters. So I guess for my mom's approach, she's more she's a planner. She likes to know what is going to happen, and then she likes to have a backup plan. And she's like let's go the normal way, like the most basic way, cannot be wrong one, right? But for my dad, it's more liberal, more like, okay, you can do whatever you want, you just, as long as you are happy, you explore, you can make your impact in the world, fine, right? So when I first initially actually expressed to them that I really wanted to get into early childhood development and education, I got two very different responses. So for my father's, he was like, all right, let's go, teacher K, right? But for my mom, she was more worried about the finance side, which is a valid worry. I think that, through the conversations with my parents and stuff, they will always bring out a different perspective that maybe you yourself as a student didn't think about or wasn't as important to you. So my mom brought up the financial point of view where, like, preschool teachers, you work a lot and you do a lot of work, but you don't earn as much. So after, having that conversation and a conflict with her, I think after a while she realized that I'm really, really passionate in this, and instead of telling me to maybe do business or anything, which she had been telling me to do business or IT, computer, programming or whatever, because she is herself a computer person, right? So I think it took her a while for her to kind of accept the fact that I'm very passionate about the children industry. And after conversations and everything, I think now she's gotten better, but still can improve, right? But I think now she's really let me take on the role of making my choices myself, and also making sure that I do my own research and making sure that I make the best decision for myself in a very realistic and future safe manner. So I think
What does that empowerment do to you? Do they make you feel like more motivated, or do they make you feel like this is my journey and I take ownership of that journey?
Okay, so when I first got the offer, right, for my EAE, I'm like, yes, I got it. Right? Okay, settled. And I was very, very happy because I really, really wanted to get into it. But then my mom, and I was actually offered a ACDA training award. So basically you sign a bond with ACDA for 3 years after you graduate. And they will pay for your school fees, they'll give you monthly allowance. So to me, I was like, that's great! Let's do that, right? But for my mom, she was more worried of, oh, what if after 3 years, you're not really gonna want to pursue this anymore? Because it's quite common for students, to go through and learn one thing, but maybe come out to do another thing, which it was valid. And so I ended up not taking the award. So I'm actually glad that I did. Don't tell my mom. I'm actually glad that I listened to her.
You mean by not taking the award?
Yeah. I guess it's because once she kind of said that, I remember myself being very angry with her. This is like super not filter, right? So I remember we would get into constant fighting matches and we would be really cross with each other. I remember it's like, why can you not understand my feelings? Why you don't want me to do what I want to do? Don't control my life, the normal teenager thing, right? But I think after a while, after she kind of understand me and I as a child understand her as well and her reasons, even though sometimes she may not have the best way of communicating that, and I may not have the best way of communicating my needs too. So after we learn and through the process, I think after a while, it's really learning, right? It really takes time to build that relationship with your mom and for the mom to build a relationship with her daughter, because both parties have different ways of communicating, different ways of showing their love, different ways of accepting, different ways of navigating life in general, right? So I think after she finally showed me support in the children industry, not necessarily being a preschool teacher, but in the children industry, it gave me a lot of reassurance, and I felt very validated that my mama's got my back. Yeah, and then she will support me, and I will make her proud in the future, hopefully.
Right. Thanks, Clié. So you've heard from the youth's perspective. It's really important for her to feel supported, to be given that autonomy, right, to make this decision. But yet you want your mom to support you, right? Because you will feel very alone if she's not there to support you.
She also need to give her input, because I think as a teenager, maybe you are very tunnel vision. Maybe sometimes you only want what you want, right? But I think the perspective of your parents who have been in the working world, who has been out there, has gone through their uni, has gone through their whatever, right? And their life experiences, it really does help you as a student get more perspective and more how do you say?
Advice from
options?
her?
Yeah, more options. It's more just general lah. More secure, wow, yeah.
So that's very nice of you to want to also, hear advice from your parents, recognizing and acknowledging the fact that they are very experienced in life. So parents, it's very natural for parents. We want the best for our children, and we can't wait to give them our opinions and advices, right? So this is what we really want to do. So the important thing is that while we do that, we do not unnecessarily project our expectations on them, and importantly, to be the supporter and the facilitator, and to allow our children to take ownership of their own journey, because it is when they take ownership, then they will have the motivation to do what they want to do, and to have the fulfillment. And at the same time, when they go through challenges, they will persevere, I hope, and develop that resilience, because this is the decision that they have made and taken ownership of. Yeah. Ms. Yusni, you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, so just now I was saying my daughter, she's not just happy in NAFA, she's independent. During O levels, we have to always check on her. What are you doing at this time? Why are you on your phone? But in NAFA, in school, she has completed 2 years now, she does everything on her own. Our way of support is when we have dinner together, we will open our ears and listen to her rants, whatever rant lah. The collaboration project that she has trouble with her classmates, what project she has, she shares with us the ideas of a storybook that they're collaborating together. So I realized, that when we change our approach, me and my husband, because before we were, I call it now we are parents 2.0, 2.0 version.
Another version, higher version.
that as we just listen more, she feels supported. She feels supported in whatever that she wants to do. So.
Right. Okay. Feng Jun, you have anything to add with regard to your own experience? About your parents, how they support you and the role that they play?
Okay, my parents has been always encouraging. Sometimes I also feel that I sometimes need a bit of push, but I think being encouraging is always heartwarming for me. I think I appreciate that. I think it's always good to receive an encouragement, because every day when you come to school, studies, but then when it comes to exploring something else, it's always good that there's some form of encouragement, some form of understanding that sometimes you need some time and some opportunity to just explore on your own. Yeah, so I think that was something helpful for my parents. They give me that opportunity and they always tell me that whatever I choose, they got my back, and then it's always encouraging in the aspect of being there for me. So yeah, I think that was really good.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice, supportive parents.
Indeed.
I have a lot to say on that, but before I say, anybody wants to give some pointers with regard to this question? This is an area of my passion.
Oh yeah. so maybe I just talk about the 14-year-old. So I have an 11-year-old.
Totally unmotivated, shows no interest. Yeah.
No, but yeah. So I feel that boys in general, they take a longer time to discover what they want to do. Yeah, so my son, he likes, and they always change what they like. And so maybe unmotivated, maybe that they haven't find what they're looking for, and or is it because whatever that boy wants, it has been like no. So what I'm saying is, for my son, before he wants to be a Dyson engineer, and then he keeps watching YouTube shows, and then now he wants to be an aeronautical engineer. But what remains is still he likes to do things with his hands. A 14-year-old is still navigating life, maybe unmotivated because of what he sees in social media, because everything is so transparent. Want to earn this amount of money, must do this job, but no interest. Then how? No, so they need to continue looking. So it's not the end of the road. If a 14-year-old is not motivated, just keep trying, right?
Right, right. So my question is, unmotivated in which area and shows no interest at all in each area? I think I'm not sure. I hope I'm not being presumptuous. Many times when parents say that our children are unmotivated, not interested, we're often talking about the academic aspect. I'm not sure. Do you think so?
Yes.
Yes. Right. So I would like to encourage parents, even at 14 years old, to really help the child to understand what he actually what are the things that will motivate him. Meaning that you don't have to say you're not motivated in just your academic, but think about what he cares about, what gives him positive energy when he's doing something, what makes him totally immersed and he can forget about his time. So I believe that our teens are interested in something, but may not be the thing that the parents want them to be interested in. So perhaps parents can find out what they are interested in, what motivates them, what they care about, what gives them positive energy, and of course it should be something meaningful, right? Parents all want the best for the children, want them to be doing something that is meaningful and constructive. So I would say that getting the teen to do something that is meaningful, and in the process allowing him to tell you, right, what motivates him might be something that you want to try out. Yeah, and also just hearing him out, right, rather than assume that he's not interested in anything. Yeah. Clié, you were nodding your head. Is there anything you want to add? Does it sound like you have some similar experience?
Okay, so because my youngest sister, right, she is 13 this year. And I think for my parents, I think they thought that way as well. Or that she isn't interested or she's not motivated in anything. But when me and my middle sister, right, talked to her or whatever, she actually showed like a lot of interest in fashion design, and she would really have a lot of sketchbooks filled with designs, and she color here, color there. But my parents didn't know. My parents had no idea because she wasn't communicating with them as well, no matter how hard they tried, because they did try really hard. But she just wasn't, she was in the teenager phase of don't talk to me, I don't want to talk to anybody, I'm cool, that phase. So she really didn't share much. But I think after me and my sisters kind of told them about it, and once they mentioned it in conversation or whatever, she was like, her eyes like, whoa, like they're talking about something that I'm interested in, So then she started to really open up more, and she's 13, so her interest can change a lot, right, throughout her secondary school years. But I think that initial realization for her that my parents actually notice or know that her interest is in fashion design, and then encouraged her to do something with fashion design, even though she's just 13, right? I think that was something that was very impactful for her and crucial for her. So my parents actually, my dad especially, told her to, bind up all these sketches and then go and buy cloth and make and learn how to sew. And then my mom was like, I can teach you how to sew, then you can come up with, like maybe product samples and everything. So I think that way was really helpful to my sister. And I realized that after she got out of her I'm cool phase, she is so much lighter. She's more vibrant. She talks more. I think that one thing of letting my parents realizing her interest was so impactful to her.
Yes.
That now she's just a complete whole different person. Clara 2.0. Clara 2.0. Yeah.
Clara is a younger sister whom she's talking about. Thanks for sharing that very personal experience, Clié. Exactly, I think that's the point that we want to make. Many parents, when they talk about when they talk to the children, and that brings me to the earlier question on communicating well, right? They often talk about just maybe academic results, maybe the things that they want them to do. So we would like to encourage parents to talk about what interests your child, what motivates them, to hear them out first, right? Rather than talk about what you want to talk about. I think that's important, definitely. But if you do that, some children might switch off straight away. So if you talk about what energizes them, what motivates them, what interests them, that will encourage them to have that kind of conversation with you. So 2 things I would like to mention about communication at home. The climate at home is important, knowing that your child is important, your child matters, right? The child is just is someone who is beyond the issue, beyond the problem, and look at the child as a whole person. The other thing will be the language that we use. How do we speak to our child? The language that we use is important. Not straight away go talk about things that you cannot do, but rather things that you can do, right? The mentorship part, earlier on Feng Jun talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Feng Jun is actively involved in some of these. There is quite a lot of community partners that our teens can leverage on. So you mentioned a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to share?
So the question about how to expose my child to mentorship, I think first and foremost is a lot of resources. I think even if you don't look outside within your own family, probably even your uncles and aunts, if they're doing in the certain careers, you can also expose them by spending a day with them to understand more about what they do. That could be a start. If not, actually a lot of resources out there. So actually this year, I'm actually supporting in the Astronauts Collective. In July, I think there will be a World X event. A lot of professionals from various careers will be there. The youths themselves can actually go and explore. I think parents are also more than welcome to join, and then basically to ask questions and anything you'd like to know more, be it the salary, be it the things that you like to, the day in the life, the balance, work-life balance, or anything to do with things like projects that they get to do, or things that they possibly can go overseas, or things with their team, environment, the culture, if that interests your child, or in terms of those areas. So actually, preparing beforehand is also important in the case of if not sure what to ask, or too many things to ask, you can actually streamline down to specifics. Like what are the things that you prioritize? Is it salary, or is it something that you need more time while at work and also at home? Or is it something else where you need an adventure every day, a different environment? So would an open office concept work better? Or would a traditional style of office be better for he or her? Yeah, so essentially those are the things that you can consider.
Thanks, Feng Jun.
Yeah.
So if I can add, earlier on I talked about student development experiences in schools. So we do have programs, learning journeys, and also ECG fairs, career fairs, where our students can attend. And this will be the opportunity for them to talk to industry professionals, interact with them, hear their stories on how they have overcome challenges to pursue their aspirations and their purpose. So these are actually very useful platform for our students. And I want to address the last question before I close. Considering the world is changing, what are the necessary skills to thrive in the future of work? So earlier on I mentioned the skills that we are talking about would be the basic core skills or competencies. So I talk about 21st century competencies, right? So if you go to the MOE website and Google 21st century competencies, you will be able to see them. There are social emotional competencies, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management, responsible decision making. And there are also 21st century competencies for a globalized world, which are civic literacy, global awareness, cross-cultural skills, critical inventive thinking, communication, collaboration, and information skills. If you Google Skills Future Singapore, you will also be able to read up on critical core skills. So there are 16 critical core skills and broadly categorized into 3 categories: thinking critically, interacting with others, and staying relevant. So do check out this information, okay? Now, due to the limited time, all right, we don't have much time, so we can't take any more questions. But thanks for all the questions, and allow me to just sum up, the key takeaways from our discussion here. Okay, so you have heard from our panelists, right? Many of the things that parents do, such as being supportive, talking to the children, allowing them space to grow, right? These are actually very important to your children. You may or you may not know. So it is important to let them try out different things and to engage in meaningful programs and projects in schools, outside schools, in a community, so that they can discover themselves. Right? So we are also mindful that ECG is not just about making education and career choices. ECG is really much broader than that. It is about discovering purpose, exploring opportunities, and staying relevant. It is an ongoing journey of discovering themselves. So that said, I also want to say that ECG is an iterative process, meaning that our students can go back and forth to have more clarity along the way. So parents, give them the time and space for them to have more self-clarity, allowing them to grow to their fullest potential at their own time. Okay? And we also want to encourage you parents, you are not alone in this journey. We have got fellow parents to support and encourage one another, and we've got resources that you can tap on. These resources that you see on the screen are publicly available on the ECG page at the MOE website and also on my Skills Future student portal. So I want to highlight one particular resource, which is Journeying with Our Children, Supporting Their Aspirations. This resource provides very useful ECG tips for parents, and it has activities that you can do with your children at different age group, and also the conversation that you can engage them in, the questions that you can ask them to know them better.
So in me being a better parent, so I have two, 19 and 11. I have a 8-year projection, whatever that I do to my son now, I will see the result in 8 years' time. And what works for me has been to keep an open mind. And MOE always has this growth mindset, we always talk about. And for me to achieve, and parents must have a growth mindset ourselves, not just our children, but also ourselves. And I think what helps to get to be on a growth mindset is break routines. Because parents are always on a daily grind of something. But when we break routine, somehow neurons grow, and then our horizon gets bigger. So my piece of advice is break your routine to have growth mindset, so that we can be better parents to our children.
Right. Feng Jun.
Okay, probably brief, because I think in this world and these changing times, a lot of things that happen is really fast. So brief is important, because I think even recently, there's so many beautiful things to look out for, like double rainbows, this and that.
So positive.
Yeah, but all of this in mind, I think it's always good to come back to the present and smile, because I think that's your best asset. Everyone has a good smile. I think if you can use that more, you're actually being more of yourself as well. And lastly, I think it's always good to always appreciate and be grateful for the things that we have and possibly also don't have. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess for me is to remember that the journey is a journey, and it is a long process for both parent and child.
Yes.
So, parents grow because, they've never had a child this age, and there's no parenting manual. So, as a child, there's always children manuals, but, we kind of don't follow them. So it's really a journey between a parent and a child. And I think it's very important to remember that you got this, and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You got it.
Sound like you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Yusnizan, Feng Jun, and Clié for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing your personal stories and experiences. I have learned a lot from you. All right, and to our audience watching from home, thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you have found the session useful and you have picked up some tips and strategies for you to support your students' journey. And with that, we also want to ask you to look out for more of such sessions that are part of MOE's year-long engagement series, A World Beyond School. And with that, all of us here would like to wish you all the very best as you support your children's journey. Take care and good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.